should be talking about Dominic Schramm, more importantly. As I say, he's originally from Queensland, and he was finished 30th at Kentucky earlier this year. But they had a good show jumping run, had a few problems on the cross country. But this will be, I suppose, coming for a bit of experience here to see exactly where they are as a combination. So, about to start is Dominic Schramm from Australia.
Just looking at what he did there around the arena, I wonder if this horse gets a little bit hot in the canter, because he kept the horse very relaxed in the trot, and he literally picked up canter out of the turn around the boards and straight down the centre line.
And you just saw the horse shoot off a little bit.
You wanted to establish a really good balance on the turn before you came down the centre line, but maybe he knows his horse inside out, and that was definitely the best way to play it, because it was a good entry, and he's into some really positive trot work, and maybe he's planning that the trot work will settle this horse before he needs to canter in the boards.
The horse is called Bolytair, 13-year-old bay gelding, owned by the Naked Horse Eventing Syndicate.
Well, that conjures some visions, doesn't it?
I'll see if I can find out more about the Naked Horse.
A few photos, probably.
So we'd just like to see a little bit more elasticity within the shoulder in, especially the transition going from the shoulder into the half pass. And then that would allow a little bit more energy within the trot itself and a bit of a quicker tempo, which would help there a bit more with that uniform bend.
More engagement to the hind leg.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's doing a very good job of riding a consistent level test so far.
And it looks easy, which is great. And you can just see a bit balance there where the horse goes wide behind, and that really is just a balance thing and a strengthening thing. And that's something that more and more he does this, the stronger he'll get behind.
And because he went a bit wide behind, he loaded the shoulder slightly, so the trot didn't stay uphill through the forehand.
And when you look at the scores here in the transitions, 7.5, 7.5 and an 8, that really showed that he was aware that the medium trot or the extended trot was a little bit weak, so he really made sure there was an obvious transition shown, once again gaining those marks for things that are quite easy to gain a mark for.
And it's just punctuation. If you ride those transitions, it really punctuates the test. It puts the horse in a good balance. It puts a full stop at the end of one movement before you start the next. And they are good marks to really get hold of. You know, looking at the pure dressage world, I mean, why is Isabelle Verth winning so much at the moment? And because she rides the best transitions of anybody. She doesn't necessarily have the best horses. They're the best trained at the moment, and she is the transition queen.
And like we were saying earlier, that the whole test is made up of transitions. Everything you do, every corner you ride, every transition you come out of the corner. So it's important that it's something that you really focus on as a rider. And you can just see that he came up a little bit too high in the contact and dropped his back, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then the change was obviously incorrect.
They scored 38 in Lexington earlier this year. The man from Queensland, but now living in Pennsylvania. And according to the biography, he's just married from a Jimmy from Texas. But she's an event rider in her own right. But Jimmy from Texas. Could have given him a bit more in the biogs about her background. Texas is pretty big, isn't it?
So, good transition coming into the corner. And that's where you can see that hotness that you were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
And I saw that just a touch as he turned coming down that centre line. I thought the horse was going to shoot off down the centre line. So you can just see that obviously in the canter work, like you rightly said, he gets quite hot and then that tension shows.
He did a very good job there with the tension that he had from the change through the short side. He actually executed a good half pass to the left. It was a good quality canter. There was clear suppleness and bending and correct positioning, and the half pass left was good. And then here again we see that the horse gets
that was very well corrected,
unsettled in the canter after the stretch. He's getting a little bit hot again, a late change. He's doing a very good job. He's sitting very quietly and very still, but not sitting there doing nothing. He's influencing the horse. Managed to achieve a clean flying change on the last short diagonal.
With the horse getting so hot, it's just making it very difficult for him to be able to ride it how he wants.